Here we go, Steelers Nation. Welcome back to SteelersFix Daily, and today we're kicking off a massive deep dive into Jaylen Warren's new contract extension and what it means for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2025. This is one of those stories that feels like classic Steelers football grit, determination, underdog mentality, and the relentless will to fight your way from the bottom to the top. We're talking about a guy who had to scratch and claw through JUCO ball, then climb his way through Utah State and Oklahoma State, only to be ignored on draft day in 2022, and still he came to Pittsburgh as an undrafted free agent and carved out a role with nothing but heart, hustle, and talent. Now fast forward to today, and Jaylen Warren has signed a brand new 2-year contract extension worth more than $7 million this season, with $12 million guaranteed, keeping him in Pittsburgh through 2027. That's not just security, that's belief. That's the Steelers front office, Mike Tomlin and Arthur Smith, all saying Jaylen Warren is our guy, our featured runner, our identity in the backfield for years to come. Think about that for a second, because this is a franchise that has built its reputation on running backs who define eras. Franco Harris carried the torch in the 70s, Jerome Bettis became the face of Steelers smashmouth football in the 90s, Fast Willie Parker delivered Super Bowl magic in the 2000s, Le'Veon Bell redefined patience and versatility in the 2000s, and most recently, Najee Harris gave Pittsburgh 4 years of volume and durability before heading to Los Angeles. And now here we are, Jaylen Warren, the undrafted Bulldog from Oklahoma State, stepping into that legacy not as a passenger, but as the driver. The extension itself was announced by his agents and confirmed across the league. Ian Rappaport reported the numbers, and you could feel Steelers Nation exhale with relief. Because let's be honest, we've been waiting for clarity in the backfield, and now we've got it. Warren is signed, sealed, and ready to deliver. And the best part is, he isn't treating this as a finish line. He isn't saying, I've made it time to coast. No, he said it himself. Some guys get paid and get lackadaisical, but for him the money is motivation. It's fuel to do more, to give more, to prove even harder that he belongs in black and gold. That's the exact mindset you want from a featured back. But before we talk about what he means to this offense, now let's rewind to where it started, because Jaylen Warren's path is the kind of story that makes Pittsburgh fans proud. He wasn't a 5-star recruit out of high school. He didn't have blue blood college programs knocking on his door. Instead, he went to Snow College, a junior college out in Utah, where the grind is real and the resources are thin. He played for respect, he played for recognition, and then transferred to Utah State and later Oklahoma State, where he showed flashes of the bruising physical style. We know today draft weekend 2022 came around and his phone stayed silent. No call, no selection. Most guys in that situation fade out of football forever, but Warren didn't. He came to Pittsburgh as an undrafted free agent with nothing but a dream, and he made the most of it. From his first training camp practice, you could see it, the burst, the balance, the chip on his shoulder. Every carry felt like a fight for his career, and it turned heads. Mike Tomlin noticed, Eddie Faulkner noticed, his teammates noticed, and by the time roster cuts rolled around, Warren wasn't just a body fighting for a practice squad spot. He was part of the 53-man roster. He carved out a role immediately, and it didn't take long for fans to see what kind of runner he was. Compact, fearless, physical, always falling forward, always pushing the pile. That kind of running style fits Pittsburgh like a glove, and it reminds fans of what this team has always stood for: toughness, physicality, and never backing down. You think back to Bettis bulldozing through linebackers. You think of Willie Parker outrunning safeties. You think of Le'Veon Bell freezing defenders with his patience. Jaylen Warren isn't a carbon copy of any of them, but he carries pieces of all of them. He's got Bettis's fearlessness, Parker's burst, Bell's versatility, and Najee's durability, all blended into a runner who was never supposed to be here, but who now owns the starting role. And what makes his story even more compelling is how much respect he carries for his roots. He said himself, whenever he hears about another JUCO product, he gives them extra respect because he knows the grind. He knows how hard it is to live in that uncertainty, chasing a dream that feels like it might never happen. He said it's surreal to be here, surreal to have made it surreal to sign a deal like this, and he hopes that JUCO kids everywhere can look at him and believe that their dreams are possible. That's not just football talk, that's life talk. That's someone who understands that his journey means something beyond the box score. And Steelers Nation, that's exactly why he feels like one of us. He isn't some superstar with everything handed to him. He's a grinder, a fighter, someone who represents the blue-collar work ethic of this city. He's the kind of player who doesn't just run for yards, he runs for pride for the name on the front of the jersey and for every teammate who lines up beside him. Picture it, Acrisure Stadium packed, terrible towels flying. It's the fourth quarter, the Steelers need a first down. Rodgers takes the snap, hands it to Warren, and he lowers his pads, blasts through the line, drags two defenders, and falls forward for the chains to move. That's Pittsburgh football. That's what this contract extension is about. It's about ensuring that the Steelers offense has a back who represents who we are. And let's not forget the leadership piece, because even though Warren isn't wearing the C on his chest, he's a leader in his own way. He's the example. He's the guy who can tell rookies and veterans alike that nothing is given here. Everything is earned. He's proof that the standard isn't just a slogan, it's a reality in Pittsburgh. You work, you grind, you fight, and you get rewarded. And now Warren has been rewarded with the chance to carry this backfield forward. Block 1 of our deep dive is clear. Jaylen Warren's extension isn't just a contract, it's a cultural statement. It's the Steelers saying we believe in grit, we believe in underdogs, we believe in fight, and we're ready to put our backfield in the hands of a player who embodies that. Every snap the Jaylen Warren era has begun, and Steelers Nation should be fired up. Here we go. Now, Steelers Nation, let's really dig into the numbers, because the stats and production back up everything we've been saying about Jaylen Warren, and they show why this extension is more than justified. Through his first 3 seasons, Warren has been efficient, explosive, and reliable. He's appeared in 48 games with 346 carries for 1,674 yards and 6 touchdowns, averaging 4.8 yards per carry. That's not just solid, that's above league average for a primary back in today's NFL, and it proves that every time he gets the ball, he's moving the chains. He's also caught 127 passes for 894 yards, showing he's not just a runner, he's a legit receiving threat out of the backfield, which gives Arthur Smith versatility in how he wants to design this offense. The breakout season came in 2023 when Warren exploded for 784 rushing yards on just 149 carries. That's 5.3 yards per carry, one of the best marks in the entire NFL. He also caught 61 passes for 370 yards, proving that he could be a weapon in both phases of the game and more efficient on a per-touch basis than Najee Harris at the time. The 2024 season saw a slight dip with 511 yards on 120 carries, but still a strong 4.3-yard average, along with 310 yards on 38 catches. The consistency is the point here. Even when defenses knew he was coming, he delivered and never disappeared. He was steady, he was physical, and he proved he could handle a bigger role. Analytics back this up. According to Sharp Football, since 2022, Warren ranks second among all NFL running backs in explosive run rate, 6th in yards after contact, 6th in yards per carry, and 6th in success rate among players with at least 300 carries. That's elite company, and it highlights the difference between him and a volume-only runner. He doesn't just grind out 3 yards in a cloud of dust. He flips the field, he changes momentum, and he does it efficiently. And that's exactly why Arthur Smith's offense is such a perfect fit for him. Smith's scheme is built on decisiveness. He wants backs who make one cut, hit the hole, and punish tacklers. That's Jaylen Warren's calling card. He doesn't dance in the backfield. He doesn't hesitate. He lowers his pads and drives forward. And in Smith's wide zone and inside zone concepts, that decisiveness creates explosive plays. If you give Warren a crease, he'll take it and turn it into 20 yards in a blink. The Steelers know that in a normal season, you want to hand the ball off 500 plus times. You want balance, you want to control tempo, and keep your defense fresh. Losing Najee Harris to free agency left a hole in those carries, but the extension for Warren says it all. He's the one who's going to take the bulk of them, and he's going to be the featured runner that this scheme revolves around. But this isn't just about Warren carrying the entire load, because the backfield room has depth and roles defined. Kenneth Gainwell slots in as RB2 and brings valuable Super Bowl experience from his time in Philadelphia. He's a proven role player who can catch passes and handle situational carries. and he's already spoken about matching Warren's work ethic and complementing his style. Then there's rookie Caleb Johnson, listed as RB3 and also a kick returner. He runs with juice, he runs angry, and the coaching staff loves his edge. Eddie Faulkner said it perfectly. All three of these guys got it out of the mud, nothing handed, everything earned. That's the exact kind of mentality you want in a Steelers backfield. So you've got Warren as the workhorse, Gainwell as the experienced role player, and Johnson as the rookie hungry to prove himself. That's a backfield that can carry you through a season. That's balance, that's depth, that's competition sharpening everyone. And let's not forget about how this backfield fits into the rest of the offense, because the supporting cast matters. Calvin Austin III is WR2 opposite DK Metcalf, and his speed forces defenses to stay honest. Roman Wilson and Scotty Miller are the next men up, and Ben Skowronek adds depth at WR5. At tight end, Pat Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith are listed with an "or" between their names, meaning Arthur Smith plans to use both heavily, while Connor Hayward serves as the utility fullback. All of that complements Warren's game, because when defense is spread out to cover speed and tight ends in the middle, Warren has more space to operate. And this is where you start to see the philosophy of the 2025 Steelers coming into focus. Its balance, its power, its versatility. The front office locked Warren in because he's the centerpiece of that plan, but the guys around him are going to make sure defenses can't just key on him. Every successful Steelers, back from Franco to Bettis to Parker to Bell, had a system and teammates who set the table. Warren now has that with Rodgers at quarterback, Austin stretching the field, Metcalf demanding double teams, Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith occupying linebackers, and a scheme designed to let him thrive. So block 2 of our deep dive is all about proof. Warren's efficiency isn't hype. It's in the numbers, his fit in Arthur Smith's scheme is obvious, and his supporting cast complements his style perfectly. This isn't just paying a back for what he's done. This is investing in a player who is tailor-made to carry the load in 2025 and beyond. And Steelers Nation should feel confident that this backfield led by Warren with Gainwell and Johnson behind him is built to attack control tempo and bring back the physical identity that defines Pittsburgh football. Now, Steelers Nation, let's wrap this up by talking about leadership culture and the identity of the 2025 Pittsburgh Steelers, because Jaylen Warren's extension isn't just a contract story, it's a signal of who this team is and who they want to be moving forward. The captains for this season have been announced, and it's a group that screams balance and experience. Aaron Rodgers is the offensive captain, Cam Hayward and TJ Watt are the defensive captains, and Miles Killebrew is the special teams captain. Rodgers brings over 15 years of leadership and has already shown in camp that he values communication with his teammates. He keeps an open-door policy and stresses that nothing should be left unsaid. Cam Hayward is the soul of the defense and has now been voted captain for an incredible 11 straight seasons. TJ Watt is the heartbeat and relentless motor, a 5-time captain who sets the bar for effort every single day, and Killebrew continues his run as special teams captain, proving that consistency, toughness, and reliability earn respect year after year. That is a leadership core that sets the standard for the entire locker room. Now, even though Jaylen Warren doesn't wear the C on his chest, his influence can already be felt. He's the guy players point to when they need a reminder of what it means to grind. He's the guy who tells rookies and vets alike that nothing is given here, everything is earned. He embodies Tomlin's mantra, "The standard is the standard," and that resonates across the roster, because when you see a teammate who went from JUCO to undrafted free agent to featured back with a new contract extension, you believe in the process. You believe that if you put in the work, you'll be rewarded. Pittsburgh has always been a team that values that kind of story, and Warren is the living example. That culture piece matters heading into a season opener, because football is about more than play calls, it's about identity, and this team has won again. They are physical on offense, balanced on defense, and veteran-led with young talent, stepping up in big roles. Warren is the centerpiece of the running game. Rodgers commands the passing attack. Metcalf and Austin bring firepower. Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith add versatility. And on defense, you've got Watt, Queen, Wilson, Minka, and Hayward, anchoring a unit built on speed and toughness. That's balance across the board. So what does this look like on Sunday? Picture Acrisure Stadium packed with terrible towels, waving Rodgers under center Warren behind him. Rodgers turns hands it off. Warren lowers his pads, blasts through the hole, and drags defenders for a first down. The crowd erupts and you feel the energy shift. That's not just a play, that's identity. That's what Steelers football is supposed to feel like in 2025. A team that wins with toughness, with balance, with trust in each other, and with a running back who embodies the fight of the city. And when Tomlin talked this week about Week 1, he said it perfectly. You can hide under your desk or be confident. That's the tone of this team. They aren't hiding. They aren't backing down. They're embracing the challenge. They're looking at the Jets' defense and Justin Fields and saying, we'll match your speed with our toughness. We'll match your playmakers with our discipline. And we'll set the tone by handing the ball to Jaylen Warren and letting him punish tacklers. That's the message. This is our identity, and we're ready. So Block 4 lands on this final truth. The Steelers didn't just extend a running back. They doubled down on who they are as a franchise and what they believe in. Hard work, underdog stories, physical football, and leadership through action. Jaylen Warren represents all of that. And with this extension, he becomes the face of the backfield for the next 3 seasons. Steelers Nation, get ready because the Jaylen Warren era has officially begun, and it's going to be one built on grit, toughness, and pride in the black and gold. Thanks for riding along with us on SteelersFix Daily. Make sure to follow on all platforms, check out the full article on SteelersFix.com, and of course hit like and subscribe so you don't miss a thing. This season is only getting started and the story is only going to grow. Until next time, this is Steelers Fix signing off. Here we go. Now, Steelers Nation, before we officially sign off, I want to take this even deeper, because Jaylen Warren's contract extension isn't just a front office move. It's the continuation of a story that connects to everything we know about Steelers football, and it deserves a full-on dive into history, culture, rivalries, and the DNA of this franchise. Let's start with running back history because the Steelers have always been defined by their backs, and it feels like Warren is the next chapter in a very long book. Franco Harris gave this team its first identity in the 70s, with the Immaculate Reception and 4 Lombardi trophies. He wasn't just a runner, he was a cultural icon. Then came Jerome Bettis, who put the franchise on his shoulders in the 90s and early 2000s, and gave us a Super Bowl send-off in Detroit. Fast Willie Parker burst onto the scene with that 75-yard run in Super Bowl. 40 Le'Veon Bell changed the position with his patient-style catching passes, lining up wide, and forcing defenses to defend all 53 yards of the field, and Najee Harris carried the ball with durability and toughness through 4 straight seasons before heading west. Now we land here in 2025 with Jaylen Warren, a guy who didn't have the draft pedigree, the hype, the stars next to his name, but he's here and he's earned the right to lead the Steelers' backfield. That's not just a story that's a tradition, it's the line of succession, and it proves once again that Pittsburgh always finds its guy. And if we're being real, this isn't just about stats, it's about attitude. Franco gave fans hope. Bettis gave fans heart. Willie gave fans speed. Bell gave fans creativity. Najee gave fans reliability. And now Warren gives fans grit. He's the guy who runs like every carry might be his last, who lowers his pads and punishes defenders, who refuses to let one defender bring him down. That's what this city respects because Pittsburgh is a city that knows hard work. Pittsburgh is a city that knows sweat, and Warren embodies that. Every time he takes a handoff, you can feel the city in him, the grind of the mills, the toughness of the neighborhoods, the no-quit mentality that defines Steelers Nation. Now let's take it to rivalries, because you can't talk about Steelers football without talking about the AFC North, the Ravens, the Browns, the Bengals. These games are always about toughness and physicality, and Warren is built for those showdowns. Picture him lowering his pads into Roquan Smith in a primetime Ravens game, or dragging tacklers in a snowy December battle against the Browns, or breaking through arm tackles in Cincinnati when the crowd is hostile. Those are the moments where his style shines, because rivalries aren't about flash, they're about who can take the punch and still get up and keep swinging. Warren is that guy, and the extension guarantees we'll see him in those moments for the next 3 seasons. And don't forget Week 1 against the Jets, because that too has rivalry energy. Even if it's not AFC North, it's Rodgers versus Fields. It's Steelers versus a team trying to establish themselves. It's Warren against Quinnen Williams and Sauce Gardner, and a defense that thrives on chaos. That's the kind of challenge where you want a back who doesn't hesitate, who makes one cut and goes, who sets the tone with physicality. That's Warren's wheelhouse, and it's why Tomlin didn't hesitate to call him the featured runner. That word featured matters. It's not by committee. It's not situational. It's featured. It means when the offense takes the field, Warren is the guy. Defenses have to stop. And speaking of Tomlin, let's pause for a second because, he always gives us the lines that stick with us. The standard is the standard. You can hide under your desk or be confident. Those aren't just slogans. Those are philosophies. And Warren is the proof. He's the guy who didn't hide, who came in as an undrafted rookie and said, I'm going to fight every snap for a job. He's the guy who raised the standard by running with violence and precision in every carry, whether it was a preseason game or a must-win in December. Tomlin preaches it, and Warren lives it. And that's why this deal feels bigger than money. It feels like a reward for doing things the Steelers way. This is where we have to talk about culture because Pittsburgh football has always been about identity. Defense first, physicality second, and an offense built on backs who can carry the load. When you walk into Acrisure Stadium, you feel it. When the terrible towels are waving, you feel it. And when a back like Warren lowers his shoulder and runs through a defender, you feel it in your bones. The crowd doesn't just cheer, they erupt. It's not noise, it's energy, it's connection, it's the heartbeat of a city that takes pride in its team. That's why Warren matters, because he gives fans those moments that make you jump out of your seat and scream. Here we go. That's what connects generations of fans. The grandparents who watched Franco, the parents who watched Bettis, the kids who watched Najee, and now the new wave watching Warren. And let me say this as a fan. Moments like this contract extension make you proud because they prove that the Steelers reward the right kind of players. They reward guys who fight. They reward guys who grind. They reward guys who don't quit. And they trust those players to lead. And Warren is now the face of that message to the locker room, to the rookies, to the veterans, to the fans. This is what we value. This is what we believe in. This is what we're building our team around. So when you put it all together, the history, the rivalries, the Tomlin philosophy, the culture, the fan connection, the extension isn't just about dollars and years. It's about saying Jaylen Warren is the next great Steeler running back, and he represents exactly what this franchise stands for. That's the final word on this deal. It's a statement about identity and a promise for the future. And Steelers Nation, I'll close on this picture. Sunday, Rodgers under center, Metcalf split wide, Austin in motion, Freiermuth and Jonnu Smith tight on the line, Warren in the backfield, the snap, the handoff. Warren bursts through a crease, lowers his shoulder, plows into a linebacker, and keeps his legs churning. The crowd at Acrisure rises, the terrible towels whirl. The noise shakes the stadium, and you realize in that moment this isn't just another game. This is Pittsburgh football alive and well in 2025 with Jaylen Warren carrying the load. That's the vision, that's the identity, that's the reason for this extension, and that's why we say with pride, here we go. This has been SteelersFix Daily. Thanks for rolling with me today, and make sure you're locked in all season. Because if this is how the year begins, it's going to be one wild ride until next time, Steelers Nation. Here we go.